Ross and K Major.
Me. Obviously, I'm not K.
No.
Whoa. I'm going to try and get this pen drive in here if I can. Is that possible? While that's being attended to, I'll start. We live in a rural property in Selkirk Place, which is adjacent to the Styx River. And I hummed and hard about putting this submission in because I realise the council has much loftier problems to deal with potentially than our particular issues. But we feel, to some extent, almost betrayed by the council, certainly let down. We were promised some things in a planning hearing, and what's proposed with the rating change is completely the opposite. So if we just bring up rates.
We have had a couple of submissions on this already and having some more, so I don't know if you were here right at the beginning of the
No, I arrived.
thing. Yeah, so I was kind of reflecting that it's a shame that the people that have this issue weren't heard together as a group, because I think you would have taken some comfort from the discussion that occurred this morning.
Well, I'm perhaps not sure unless they're from our particular area.
No, I don't think it matters which area you're from.
Well, it does, because we've been zoned urban now as a result of a private plan change,
right,
which is never going to proceed in my lifetime living up there.
Yeah.
And we had these concerns during the commissioner's process.
Right.
And
okay, we're far away.
Okay. So that's us. We live in a little rural, in that house here on 3.5 acres, and we run cows, so we run it rurally. And you can't see from the definition, but the cows are in that paddock which they've almost eaten, and they'll move into there. And so it is actually run as a farm. We use hay in the wintertime to get the stock to progress. We break feed with electric fences, etc., etc. So by any definition, we're a rural activity. And so if I now bring up the next one, and so we're up here tucked in against the Styx River. Now, almost the whole of that area from there across to Redwood, that's where the Northern Arterial is going, was part of a private plan change which succeeded. And in our submissions against it, we were convinced that, in fact, as I said, it wouldn't proceed for a variety of reasons. You might say, well, that's a bundle of nutty lay people, but at the end of the day, the outfit's now broke, and there's some good reasons as to why it's going to be an awful long time.
Is it Highfield?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the submissions we said was, well, we don't believe it's going to proceed. We want to stay living up here, so we're going to be lumbered with rates associated with urban rated land when our use is going to stay rural. And we were assured by the council officers, or the council officers assured the commissioners, that in fact it was the use of the land that mattered, not its zoning for its rates. And so one of the, I guess, mitigating factors, we were given a list of rural activities we were promised we were allowed to continue, like burning and various other rural activities, and that our rates would stay rural. Now, if we are changed, what the proposal is that it's less than 2 hectares, so we're less than 2 hectares, so we fail there. And it has to be zoned rural, and we're now zoned urban, Highfield 3 or whatever it's called, and so we fail on that count as well. And so we're now lumbered with effectively urban rates, and we miss out on the rural differential.
So that, yeah, and you have an important quote here directly from the Commissioner's report.
Correct.
The important factor for determining rates is the use of the property, not its zoning, such that a property used for farming purposes is rated rural, irrespective of its zoning.
Correct.
Right.
And in our case, it would also, we would fail on the 2 hectare limit, which is in the proposed change as well.
Yeah, so our proposal would...
We'd lose 2 ways.
You'd lose both ways because of the zoning and because of the number of hectares.
Correct.
So at the moment you're above the hectare.
No, because we're rural. When this process occurred 10 years ago or something,
I see. Yeah.
There was no doubt that what we do on our property was considered rural, and so we've had the advantage of the rural differential since then.
If the council decided not to proceed with the proposal, but to instead do an assessment of all of the properties to it, because there are some properties that are literally residential lifestyle blocks.
And they're covered already.
Farmed.
Our neighbours, for example, don't get the rural differential. The people immediately adjacent to us were adjudged as being not rural activities.
Yeah, but if we were to, as an alternative to what we've put out in the plan, to do an individual assessment of each of the properties, then you feel that you would qualify as rural under an individual assessment.
Well, we run cows, we use an electric fence to feed them during the winter, we feed them hay, we rotate them around in the summer. I can't see how that would fail to be rural.
And clearly the Commissioner relied on that when he was making, or she was making the decision.
I would assume so.
Yeah. Sorry, how much time? Sorry? Time's up. So, thank you very much. I think that's very compelling. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, we now move on to